Please welcome back Sharon Waxman and Ava DuVernay.
Yeah, hi. So, Ava DuVernay, I just want to tell you, there's like not a seat empty in this room. Oh, there's one right there. That's probably for somebody they're saving it for, but they're here for you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
And I think that's a testament to the impact you've already had in our industry and in the world. And this other film, which almost nobody here has seen yet, they know that it's the next page in the book you're writing that's helping to teach us what is in the human heart, what is racism about, in films from Selma, in your series Queen Sugar, in 13th, in When They See Us, You Can Applaud. Every single time you bring these pieces of work into the world, we learn something. So Origin is, to me, when I saw it the first time, and you know, because we talked about it, I was so moved by it, I thought, she's had a moment of enlightenment, and she's enlightening us. So this, for those of you who know a little bit, or maybe don't know much, you just saw the trailer. Origin is about the writing of the book Caste by the Pulitzer Prize-winning author Isabel Wilkerson, and it's a really unusual subject to make a movie about. So let's just start with why you chose this and how you put the puzzle together of what this movie is.
Well, I'm so happy to be here, and I just want to look what you've done with this. Look what you've
on.
built. No, I remember when it first started. I remember when it first started. So a round of applause for Sharon, for sure. Truly, really. It was really just what you said. I had learned about it and wanted other people to know. It's the same with 13th. It wasn't dissimilar. With 13th, I had been reading books and interviewing people and just talking about this whole idea of why in America we lock so many people up and kind of throw away the key, and wanted to excavate that, and so I made the documentary. This was the same. I'd read the book, didn't understand it the first time because it's pretty weighty. Got to the end of it and thought, okay, that could be it. I could put it aside and just keep going, but I was like, I didn't get it. Let me read it again. So I read it again, and somewhere in the middle of the second time, I started to really hear the voice of the author. She came off the pages and became a bit of a character for me, and that's when I thought, could this be a movie? And everyone I asked said, no, ma'am, it cannot be a movie. This is not the book you make a movie about, because it's a nonfiction book. It's kind of like not a textbook, but it's
like an intellectual exercise in a way, right?
Absolutely. And so, and there, you're not following a character through it. There's no beginning, middle, and end to a story. And so the idea of that also excited me, to do something that everyone said I couldn't do. The book was called Unadaptable. So I was like, what do? You go adapt it. And so that's it. The film is kind of like half the book, half my research and interviews with her, and together it makes up the life and work of Isabel Wilkerson around this text.
So you decided not only to kind of create the story about Isabel Wilkerson, and Isabel went through some very traumatic personal losses during the writing of the book, and as the movie describes, she also had everyone say to her, this isn't a book about caste.
Yeah.
But let's just start with this question of how you decided to think about the question of racism, which you have dealt with so masterfully and in so much depth in other parts of your work. And Caste seems to say, wait a minute, race is like, almost like I'm tired of talking about racism in the same way. Is that?
No, I think it's just saying we need to interrogate. Racism is the surface. It's a Band-Aid on a wound. It's the skin on a skeleton. And the skeleton is caste, right? Anti-Semitism is the skin on a skeleton. Homophobia is the skin on a skeleton. The skeleton is caste. The bones, this is Isabel Wilkerson's theory, the bones, the heart of it, the origin of it is a thing called caste. And it takes all these different colors and all of these different configurations. Some might be based on skin color. Some might be based on gender. Some might be based on your sexual preference. Some might be based because you live in a certain part of a community, right? But all of these things are the ways in which we create hierarchies of people. Some people are at the top. Some people are at the bottom. And so in any given room that you might be in, we're in a room of women. And if we were examining it based on a social hierarchies, there would be some women who would be considered at the top and others who in our society are considered at the bottom. In this space, we're all equal, but we know when we walk out of the door, there are different considerations. Let's say there were men in the room. All of us would be secondary to the men in the room in terms of the way our society is based and the way that the systems function. So that's what caste is. It's the undergirding, it's the pinning, it's the foundation, it's the origins of all of our discontents, all of our oppressions, all of our challenges. And so the reason why I wanted to do it is I thought, wow, what a new way to frame, what a new way to think about trying to solve problems and be better for the next generation. We need to go deeper than using the same words and the same ideas.
I mean, that's the thing I think that was so striking to me is that it's like, oh, here's somebody who wants to get underneath that and say, this is not enough.
Yeah.
And I think it's also because we have talked about it incessantly for decades now, and it's not better enough. However better it is, it's not close to better enough. So
I like that. It's not better enough. That's pretty good.
it's not.
It's true. It's true.
It's
Many things have improved. Huge. We talk about this room. We wouldn't all be able to sit in this room together in this relaxed atmosphere 60 years ago, right? Some women would be able to be here. Some women would not be able to be here. So there are certainly improvements, but we are on the cusp of many things changing in our country and in the world, and things are shifting. And it's incumbent upon us to continue to interrogate, think about, talk about, and make sure that these ideas see the light of day.
So did you approach Isabel Wilkerson and say, Isabel, I have an idea? And she said, oh, great, come on in and hang out with me. And I just lost my husband.
Not pretty. It had been, the passing of her family members had happened some years before. And so, maybe about 5 years ago. And I did tell her that I was very interested in adapting and bringing a work that's inspired by the book to the forefront, but that in order to do that, I needed a character to follow.
Right.
And she said, I agree with that. And I said, well, I think the character is you. And so she didn't take much time to think about it. She was very gracious, and she agreed. And from there, we started a process of a little over a year, almost a year and a half, of Zooms and conversations and exchange of ideas and information.
Did you ever disagree with her? Did you ever debate
No,
the core issues?
that was not my job. I was the
Okay.
chronicler, right? I'm chronicling what her ideas are. So if it's about her life and work, I can't debate her on her life and work. I'll be like, girl, that didn't happen. No, this happened. So no, my job, in the same way that it was for the Exonerated Five, the men who we were known as the Central Park Five, was to tell their version of their story for the first time. And so I listened to, thank you. And so I listened to what she had to share, I interpreted that, and that is what I put along with the book to create the screenplay.
Okay, let me also just tell you, because I know you haven't seen the movie yet, that Ava recreates Nazi Germany. She recreates the South in the 30s or the 20s?
Deep South, yeah, 30s, 40s.
Right, 30s, 40s, so Jim Crow,
Yeah.
KKK still quite alive. And then she also goes to India to explore the caste, the lowest caste, the Dalit.
Yeah, Dalit
caste.
people, yes,
Okay,
yes.
learned a lot in this movie.
I learned a lot from the book. I didn't know much about the Dalit people in
No.
India, yeah.
Yeah, so, but it does make sense that you're talking about brown people subjugating other brown people, and Isabel making the point that it's not about color. It's not
That's
just
not about
color.
race there, right? It's about something
Right.
else. So you can't call that racism because they're all technically the same race. You can't look at, the horrors of the Holocaust and call that racism because, well, it's not racism, it's something else. It's anti-Semitism. And so it's about digging into it and say, but at the core of it all, it's about hierarchy. Someone's at the top, someone's at the bottom.
Yeah. So did you think, so you recreate, it's an expensive movie, sorry, there's big, massive scenes and doing period things. Did you think, how am I going to do this? I don't think there's a lot of studios lining up to
No, the studios aren't lining up. Hey guys, hey, I want to make a movie about caste. It's going to be about a lady.
a cast, Ava? Who's the
Yeah,
cast?
who's in the cast? Yeah, no, literally. It wasn't going to go well, so we didn't even go that route. We really just focused on not spending a year taking it around town and pitching everyone.
And getting turned down. And getting turned down.
And getting turned down, right? We just thought ahead and raised the money on our own And so this is it's a larger independent film. It's we were outside of the scope of the budget for the Spirit Awards, but
Oh, really?
we couldn't even apply.
But we should mention, because among the producers you have are these amazing billionaire women. We should kind of mention.
Yes. So Paul Garnes and I, my producing partner, produced the film, and the film was financed by philanthropists. So I would always watch those PBS documentaries, and at the end, the guy with the deep voice comes in and says, with the support of the Ford Foundation and the da-da-da. And I used to think, do they have money? Do they want to give? Would they be interested in my films? And so it was just something that was always in the back of my mind. So when we decided we were going to go independent, I actually called up Darren Walker of the Ford Foundation.
Oh, you did?
I did. I said, hello, sir. You know those things at the end of the documentaries? And I asked if he was interested in ideas around narrative change, changing through storytelling and art. Would they ever be interested in doing that in a motion picture that had actors? If it was aligned with their mission and this idea of caste and interrogating the inequities of society, he said yes. And then he gave me the courage to call some other people who are like-minded, like Lorene Powell Jobs of Emerson Collective and Melinda Gates of Pivotal Ventures. And these women and others came on board, and we looked up and we had enough money to make a movie.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It just is striking to me that their names are on the movie as producers. You see all these powerful, wealthy women just lining up to support you in this idea, which was not like, it's not guaranteed.
No, it wasn't. But I mean, these women are doing really propulsive work in globally.
So much.
These
so.
organizations are incredible. They've taken their wealth and they've said, I'm not just going to sit on it and be on boats, right? Like, no disrespect to boats. Like, I would love to be on the boat. If anyone wants to write me on the boat, please. Like, but beyond that, after you get off the boat, what are the other things that this wealth can be doing? And so these women are incredibly generous and incredibly, just smart is not even the word, forward thinking. But to think movies, you know what I mean? Films, they really are cultural catalysts. If you can get the idea of caste in the lexicon, then you're giving people another tool to talk about and to interrogate the issues that we face. So that was what drove them.
It's amazing, and I'm always reminded that no matter, as a book writer, no matter how many books you sell, a lot more people are going to see the film.
They do. Well, because everyone doesn't, like
Read.
to cuddle up, read. That's right.
Sadly.
I was going to say, everyone doesn't read.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. Okay, but thankfully some people still read. You read, I know.
I read.
Thank you. Talk about Ingenue Ellis, who is really.
Yes, Ingenue Ellis Taylor.
I mean, she's great in everything.
Ingenue Ellis Taylor is one of those actors that you see, and you've seen her in a quadrillion things, and some of us know her by name, but most people know her by the beautiful characters that she inhabits and kind of disappears into. And she's close to my age, in her early 50s, and it's just a very just incredible, passionate, detailed, all-encompassing, extraordinary artist that when you're in her presence, you're kind of like, whoa, like there's a reverence when she's around because of the work that she does. But this is her first lead in a movie. After all,
no way.
Yeah. After all the work that she's done, Lovecraft Country, she got the Oscar nomination for King Richard 2 years ago.
Right.
I mean, does incredible work, but had never been put in the lead of a film, which really speaks to, the ways in which women of a certain age, especially women of color of a certain age, are relegated to very particular supporting parts in our industry. So I'm proud that she took the mantle, she took it, that baton, and she ran. I mean, we haven't seen her since. She's gone. She ran away, but just took it and said, "You're going to give it to me? I'm gonna do this." And she did it in every single scene. It's an extraordinary performance. And we're talking about this film being kind of cast. It feels like it's heavy, but there's a real beauty to it. It's really a love story. There are 14 different love stories in the film. Ways in which, love, romantic love, familial love, love of self, love of culture, just all of these different, love with a best friend, a cousin, maternal love. All of these stories kind of swirl around within this tough subject matter, and it's the love that pulls you through from scene to scene, for me. That's how I constructed it, and that was my anchor as I built the movie.
Did you as a director, do you work closely with the actor and like scene by scene, or are you more the director who says, here's the script and step back, while somebody like Ingenue, who's so gifted, finds the character? Like, how do you work?
I like to work with them closely, but also to give them freedom. And I remember I was a young filmmaker, and I would hear people say things like that, and I'd be like, but how? How do you work with them closely and give them freedom? But for me, I like to, in rehearsals, I just like to kiss the scene. I'm not getting married in the scene. It's just a kiss. It's just, we're gonna just kiss and see. So it's just in the scene, I just like touch the material, make sure we're on the same page. We all know what we're gonna do when we get to the set. Talk about any questions, like, did we read the same scene? Or are we doing the same thing? Just get that, maybe read it a couple times, maybe put it on its feet once, then we're done, we're moving on to the next. So I don't like to pin it down, I don't like to storyboard. That's what some directors do, where they very, very precise in each scene and what the movements will be. I respect it, I think it's incredible. I have a lot of friends who do that. I don't do it, I like to feel more free with the camera in the space. But I am with them, I am connected, I am, looking at them in their eye, not through the monitor. I am talking to them. I want them to be able to turn to me and ask a question. And I also want to be able to talk to them in the scene, as it's going, just to be able to be a part of the creation of it, and have them be able to talk back to me. So it was a free-flowing process. We shot the film. I don't know how many film people are in here, but we shot the film. Yeah?
Yeah,
Cool.
a lot.
We shot the film in 3 countries in 37 days.
Oh.
Yeah, 3 countries in 37 days. Thanks. And
Wow.
we were hustling.
And lots of different decades.
And lots of different periods, lots of different decades. So it was a real lift for this independent crew, and I'm proud of the crew and the cast.
Oh my God. Okay, so yeah, you can run. And first of all, like, you guys haven't seen the film. Wait till you see the film. I've seen it twice. I feel really lucky. I'm going to see it some more times. Okay, could we just talk about, from a filmmaking standpoint, one particular scene? Ingenue's not actually in it because it takes place in the 30s, which is this book burning scene in Germany. I mean, you really recreated Nazi Germany, in slightly terrifying, especially to see it today, because we have so many reflections of people giving Nazi salutes and we're banning books again. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, there's a scene of a big book burning scene. Yeah. Was that emotional? Was it difficult? And you shot it in Germany?
Yeah, can I just tell you what a great interviewer she is? Let me just tell you this. She's looking me dead in my eye. She's barely looking at the notes. And also, she's not saying the thing that I hate the most.
What?
Tell me about such and such. Now, at no point have you said, tell me about such. You're asking me specific, detailed questions.
Yes.
That is like a given in journalism, but it doesn't happen.
I'm not wasting my time.
I'm telling you, I appreciate it. It's rare. It's rare. But yes, we shot this in Germany, and imagine me and my producing partner, Paul Garns, who is a black man. We're going into Germany.
Oh my God.
We're going into Germany, and I said, we want to shoot this book burning in the place where it really happened. There's a square called Bibelplatz, and it's where the books were actually burned. Tens of thousands of books are burned. They were taken off the shelves by librarians, chosen as to what could be taught and what shouldn't be taught in this new Nazi regime, and they were brought over and they were burned. And many, many works, most works by Jewish authors, or anything that was anything that was talking about freedom, basically, and justice. All that stuff was burned. No internet. You know what I mean? No backup. No, well, you burned this one, but I got a digital copy over here, gone. And so we went to the real place and said, we want to do that scene there, right there. So imagine us, 2 black folk. We roll up. He's from Chicago, I'm from Compton, right? We roll up and we're like, hi. Hi, we're African Americans. We did a film called Selma. And we would like to shoot here in the real place. And they were like, okay. I said, and they were like, this monument, this real sacred space? I said, yes. And also, we would like to have just a couple thousand extras. And they were like, And we would like to dress those extras like Nazi soldiers. They were like, I said, I know it's illegal to fly the swastika here, but we'll need several around. And also, we're going to light a big fire and burn some fake books. And they said yes. So we shot that in the real place. Don't be afraid to ask for what you want. And,
right.
And be prepared. Be prepared to talk about why and show the plan and the safety plan and all of those things. So we shot that with 5 cameras on one night, this book burning, and it was incredibly poignant because this book, Caste, The book by which this film is inspired is a banned book. In many parts of this country,
What do you mean it's a banned book?
it's a banned book. In many states, this cannot be taught in schools, and it's been taken off bookshelves.
Oh my God.
This book, Caste, that came out in 2020. So it's something we really need to put our attention on, because this is happening right now. They might not be burned, but they are not on the shelves, and we are not far away from these things having, in the film there's a quote that says, the one who burns books won't have a problem burning men. And so it's really important for us to see the correlations between that. This happened in Nazi Germany. We saw where it ended. And so it's important that we keep an eye on what's happening now. I saw a lady who gave me a nice smile. Hi, ma'am. You right there. Thanks for that nice smile. And a nice little wink and smile.
When you were shooting the scene, are you just so in the scene, I've got to get the shot, or are you feeling like the depth of emotion? Is it emotional? And I know you had your actors. You had based on two real life African-American sociologists or anthropologists who were also amazing real life
they're really
people.
good.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, Jasmine Cephas Jones, who was at your event last night. Yeah, she's in the film. I don't get emotional when I shoot. I get emotional when I'm writing. So when I'm writing it, I cry. When I'm writing it, I get angry. When I'm writing, I get all of that out. When I'm on the set, I'm like Darth Vader. I really am. I can shut it off. I've trained myself to do that. Because, what am I going to be on the corner crying? They're going to be like, well, she's crying. What do we do now? I've just been able to shut that off and be very tactical, very strategic, and very much in the moment, and make sure that I'm available to my actors so that they have the emotional support that they need. And the crew. You have to take care of the crew as well. These are people who are witnessing really challenging things. Make sure everyone's taken care of. And then I cry again when I get in the editing room, dark room. Me and my editor, Spencer Averick, who edited this beautifully, and he's edited everything I've ever done. That's when I have, I let it out again. But on set, I'm pretty strict with myself.
When this film comes out, and now everybody in this room is going to see the film, obviously, what's your hope? Because when you started making the film, I don't know if it was after George Floyd was killed or whatever, that we were in a moment, but we're in another intense moment. What's your hope that the film brings?
Well, the film comes out in LA and New York for 1 week on Friday. And so here in LA, it's at Century City. In New York, it's at Lincoln Square. And then in January 19th, it'll open around the country. But there's a little 1 week preview here. It's mostly sold out, but you might be able to get a ticket or two. But the idea around this work is really, I don't want to prescribe what people take from it, because everyone in this room comes in with a different set of life experiences, circumstances, background, but there's never a point where there's not something happening in the world that is intense and that is unjust. We're talking a lot about what's going on in the Middle East, but we also need to look at the Sudan. We need to look at the Congo. We need to look at these places where there is real devastation and horror happening that has no attention. And I want to take the opportunity to just invite you all to dig a little bit and learn a little bit about that. There's so many places around the world where horrific things have been happening for long periods of time, and people are being oppressed. And so this film, it's not even for such a time as this. It is for always, because we are the dreamers, we are the doers, we are the good ones, and we must step up and help the people who need us. And there's always someone in need. And so what do we do? And I'm hoping that you come out of the film and it sparks something in you to do. It's not enough for us anymore to talk about it around the dinner table or post. It is the time to be able to say, I did this. And whatever that looks like for you, that might be donating, that might be educating yourself more, that might be, petitions and protests, that might be coming up with a new idea that hasn't been thought about. But we must do something. You know, you don't want to look back and have someone ask, what did you do when that was happening? At the end of 13th, there's a line that talks about, you know, people always say, Brian Stevenson said, during the Holocaust, you know, and during slavery, people always say, I would have never done that. How did they sit around and allow that to happen? It's happening now. It's happening right now, and it's easy not to do anything. It's easier, but it's better to step up and lean into the moment. So that's what I hope is sparked when you come out of the movie. Yeah.
Thank you, Ava.